I'm Bruce Geetson with Waco ISD TV, and today we've got a very special visit for you. We're going to be talking with one of our fantastic students at University High School. It's Diego Salazar in the Criminal Justice Department, and he is one of our shining stars here at University High and could very well be the same for us in the criminal justice system in Waco, McLennan County, and even higher aspirations from there. And I've also got Lori Palladino, the criminal justice instructor here at University High. We'll be talking with her as well. But let's start with Diego. And Diego, you're a senior. You've had quite a summer, haven't you, the last 6 months?
I have. They've been sending me pretty much everywhere around the country. So.
You got picked to go on 2 different conferences, one in Washington, D.C., and one in New York City. Tell us about the Washington one.
The one in Washington, D.C. was pretty neat. It was all during my spring break, so I didn't get to miss any school, which I like because, school comes first. So when I went, it was all about politics. It was our youth, how getting us involved, meeting with a bunch of senators. I got to see Ted Cruz. I got to meet with a Mississippi State senator. He was really nice, really friendly. He was like brother of the South, like, hey, Texas, we're right next door. I was like, that's really cool. I had a blast. I got to meet there with all my friends. I still keep in touch with them, a bunch of them from Seattle, California, New York City, Colorado, everywhere. Once again, I was the only one from Texas, which was kind of hard to believe because Texas is such a big state. You'd figure there'd be more.
Was it easy to pick you out when you arrived there? Or?
When I got to D.C., it was kind of easy to pick me out. I was wearing, not many of them know, I didn't know Southerns dressed a certain way, but they picked me out like that. They're like, are you from Texas? And I was like, where are y'all from? And they're like, oh, yeah. They're like, he's from Texas. So I guess, yeah.
Okay, now that conference was sponsored by the American Bar Association, is that correct? Yes. What was the purpose of it?
The purpose was to send someone from University High School, someone from Texas, to represent them in D.C., to give them a voice, to say, hey, this is what Texas, this is what we think we can do. What do y'all think as coming from other states? What can we do together to make a change?
And it was just a select group of young people, correct?
Just a select. There was about maybe 20 of us from all the states. So.
And you were the only one from Texas?
The only one from Texas.
From University High.
University High School.
Way to go. So, Diego, at that conference in Washington, D.C., what was the purpose of that conference?
The purpose was to make sure that everyone from their state got their voice to be heard.
Okay. So. And was it like 3 or 4 days, and you guys went to the Capitol Hill, and you met a lot of politicians?
The first couple of days was kind of like icebreakers. This is the state I'm from. This is what I think. And then, as the summit and as the conference continued, we did the National Mall tour, got to saw the Smithsonian, even got to go to the White House, do everything that a tourist does in D.C.
Mm-hmm. But what did you do in addition to what tourists do?
We got a lot of behind-the-scenes looks, which was really cool. We got to go into those rooms that said employees only or do not enter. We got to go behind the velvet ropes at the Supreme Court and actually go into the courtroom. And I got to sit in Obama's chair where he would go to watch the Supreme Court cases happen, which was really cool.
Okay. Did you meet any Supreme Court justices?
We didn't get to meet any Supreme Court justices. They were there in the building. They just weren't at court. They were above us in the chamber. And when we were there, there was a little shrine for Justice Scalia, which was really touching to see that, that one of our justices died, and to see that was our nation mourns, which was really,
And then the next conference you went to was in New York City. That was in August. Tell us about that one.
That was the first week of August. That one actually happened because of the D.C. trip. When I was in D.C., I met Christine, and Christine emailed me 2 months later saying, hey, Diego, we really enjoyed having you. You're such a great voice, so outspoken. Would you like to come to this summit in New York City? And I was like, well, I'd love to. And I was like, when? And she told me. I told my parents. We got the email sent back and forth. And I had to fill out a survey kind of questionnaire, a bunch of essays, my opinions on certain things. And once again, out of all of Texas, I was the only one to go, which I was like, what the heck? How am I the only one going?
You're a shining star for the Lone Star State and for Central Texas.
Pretty much.
And what was your big takeaway from that conference?
That one was that our voices, as far as the youth, can be heard as long as they're listening. We need to know that our voice counts. Our one vote matters. We need to know that whenever we make a stand, we make it proudly. That way they know we're here, and that the youth should be front and center in democracy education.
So when you came back to University High, then did you spread that word?
Yeah, I've been trying, all the underclassmen, I've been talking to them, saying, because just yesterday we had people in university trying to register, 18-year-olds to vote. And I'm not 18 yet, but I registered to be a voting clerk, so I could be there at least helping out, to do our part. It's the least we could do.
Every vote counts, doesn't it?
Exactly, every vote counts.
Okay. So what do you hope to do with all this experience that you're getting?
With all this experience, with mock trial, with going to everywhere, I hope to one day be a diplomat. I want to make a change globally. I want to say, hey, I went to University High School. This is Diego Salazar, and he's a diplomat now. He's making changes for America. And if not that, then lawyer, just something where I can make a change.
And how is this helping you, what you're learning here in the mock trial class?
It's helping me out a lot. It's giving me a bunch of eye openers to, hey, this is the real world. Like we have to solve these issues right now and today, because if not, they're just going to be pushed to the side.
Diego, what sparked this interest from you?
I have to say it was the community outreach for Waco Police Department. It all started with the police department. Just seeing their Crime Stoppers and Sophia Martinez and Officer Steve Dietrich, how they're so involved with the community. Seeing that made me want to realize, okay, I want to get involved, and that just pushed me to where I am now.
Was there one moment you thought, I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a diplomat?
Yeah, there's still that moment. I was like, when that moment probably happened when I got involved in mock trial my freshman year, I was like, I can do this. This is something that I can see myself doing.
Okay. And where do you want to go to school from here?
I'm thinking about maybe UT or even A&M or Texas State. It's just I'm going to look at my options and pick which one's best.
You have to stay in Texas.
Yeah, I have to.
Okay. We'll check back with you here again in a second. I want to talk now with Lori Palladino, the criminal justice instructor here in this class. Lori, pretty amazing, impressive young man here.
Very impressive,
Okay.
yes.
You going to take credit for that? Or?
Well, no, a lot of his talent is natural and innate, so I wish I could, but I do feel like a proud mama, yeah, he's just amazing.
What do you remember about the first time you saw him in here in class? Did he stand out?
Yes, he did. He stood out. Even though he said he was quiet, he was very talkative in my class. But he had a lot of talent, both in writing as well as artistic. So, and anytime I asked him to do something, he was willing to help out. And so he stood out.
Is there one moment that you think of most when you think of Diego?
Oh, well, when I saw his real talent for being a lawyer is when he just stood up in mock trial without even having been trained at all, and it was just so natural to see him act.
Was it a case he was arguing? Or?
It was our mock trial case. We were prepping for it, and he just got up and knew exactly what to do, and I was just astounded.
Is there a part of you that, and he says he wants to be a diplomat and follow that career path, is there a part of you that thinks, oh, I wish he would stay in the courtroom?
Well, I know whatever Diego decides to do, he's going to make a difference, and I expect to see him accomplish great things no matter what he does. So wherever his heart leads him, I know he'll excel at.
This is so valuable. I think this mock trial scenario and what you can teach, what kids can learn in here. Talk about that for just a second.
Yes, I've enjoyed it, and I'd love to see them grow and build their confidence and their self-esteem and standing on their feet and able to critically think and argue, which they love to do, but create their own questions, the writing, it's amazing what they can do at this young age.
Do they go through one mock trial per semester, or how's the curriculum?
Well, we have the Texas High School mock trial competition every year at Baylor Law School, and that's what we prep for once we get the case on October 1st. So all until then, we're prepping them for direct examination questions, cross-examination questions, and their opening statement and things like that.
So pretty good stuff, huh?
Yes, yes.
Stuff. All right, let's switch back to Diego now. Diego, what do you like about being in this room?
Coming in as a freshman, the room didn't really look like this. It wasn't a courtroom until later on, in my high school. And one of the Texas Supreme Court judges came and dedicated the room, and now it's the Shepherd Courtroom, which is really cool, and I take pride in that. This is where it all started. Whenever I grow up, I want to make sure that I come back and say, hey, I'm a diplomat now, and this is where it started. You can make a change right here in this room.
And that's the message to people, to all the young people.
To all the incoming freshmen, all the classes that until I leave, they can make a change.
Okay. There's one other story I want you to tell us about that you told at one of those conferences that everybody thought, okay, this is my Texas story.
Yeah. So we did a workshop in New York where it kind of got our voices heard, like an icebreaker kind of thing. It was at Wagner University. Everyone from their own state had to give a personal story on kind of like that would identify them from their state, because we had to guess. So I was like, okay, I got one. I instantly thought of mutton busting, bull riding, small town, he said, she said stuff. So I was like, okay, I got it. So I talked about how my mom and dad met at a rodeo. He used to be a bull rider for Rosebud Lot High School, and how I started off with mutton busting, road sheep. I wanted to make my mom and dad proud. Say, hey, look, you know, I'm not young anymore. Like, I can do this. I can show you that I'm brave enough to get on this bull. So you start little. You know, I won mutton busting. I was at the HOT fair, and I was like, okay, I can move on up. So I went to bull riding, and you know, everyone there was like just so amazed, like, because they've never heard of this. Like, they see it on TV, but to actually have someone there that's like, you've actually got on one of those things, and most of them haven't even seen a bull because they live in suburbs of New York City or California, and all their stories are like surfing and hockey and lacrosse, and I'm like, well, I've heard of that, but like, we don't really play it much, or we don't surf really. I mean, we fish, and so just to have that, you know, sharing that diverse, you know, I'm from here, or you're from there, like, you know, it just really makes you think about, wow, America's so different, but like, we all have to come together and make a change. Like, it's almost, it seems like it's impossible, but it's not.
So you were the only one, I bet, who told the bull riding.
Yeah, that was it. And most of them, they were like, we've seen that on TV, like, we've seen movies, but like, we've never actually thought of doing it. And I was like, yeah, it's a real thing. Like, it happens all the time when you ride horses. I mean, like, you don't think about that. Yeah. And then to hear them talk about how they play hockey and all their fields are indoor because it snows. I'm like, I haven't seen snow in forever. And it was just, to share those stories was really cool.
Okay. And Diego, what makes you think you can make a change?
I think I can make a change because I feel like all the preparation I've received over the past few years since I was a freshman, starting with 8th grade now as 12th grader, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to go out into the real world, make something of myself, and just prove to everybody, hey, look, this can happen.
Okay. Is there one favorite case you've argued in here?
My favorite case would probably have to be one we did about 2 years ago. It was a criminal case. Someone got pushed out of a window. We had to fight who is at fault for the murder, and it was accidental manslaughter. It was really cool. Last year was a civil case, so I mean, it wasn't as interesting. But this year we do have a criminal case again, so I'm like really excited to be a lawyer for this one.
It sparked your interest,
yeah.
hasn't it? Yeah. And Diego, from that conference in Washington, you may get another chance to go back now for something pretty exciting.
Yeah, when I was at the U.S. Department of State in D.C., we did an activity where a bunch of us got assigned groups, and each group represented a different country or the Department of State. And my group was the Department of State, and the lady who was the head of the Department of State was there watching us interact with each other and how to solve problems. And just my responses, she was like just so quick to them, and she noticed that all the stuff I was saying was like hitting the key points that they work with. And after, you know, the activity was over with, she came up to me and was like, how would you like an internship with the Department of State next summer? And I was like, sure, like, how much is it? And she was like, no. She was like, we'll cover it. Just, she gave me her email, her card. She was like, email me when you graduate. And I was like, that's fine, like, I'll email you. So I'm looking forward to, after I graduate this year, maybe getting an internship with the Department of State and going up there, and they'll pay for my lodging, and I'll see what it's like to work with them.
What a great opportunity that'll be.
It will be. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, good luck to you. It's been really interesting talking to you, and we've got all the faith in the world in you, and we know you're going to do well, like Ms. Palladino said.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. And I'm Bruce Geetson with Waco ISD TV with one of our shining stars here in the district, and thanks for watching.